Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me for an episode of the Caregiver's World. It has been a while since I have had a moment to catch my breath and be able to come to you with new insights and information. I believe the last time that I was able to record a podcast was back in May. Unfortunately, a lot has been going on, some good, some not so great, and life just hasn't stopped. It hasn't really given me enough of a pause until now. I apologize for my voice. I am fighting what seems to be pneumonia for a bit too long, over a month. So I will be taking brief breaks in between to make sure I avoid any awkward silence or bad sound coming from my end. The last time that I came to you guys, we spoke with my family, we spoke with our loved one, my sibling, and we had a conversation along with insights and tips from an actual patient with dementia. And we got I guess, what I think it's a insightful view of how it is to her to have Alzheimer's, or what she's able to catch and what she isn't. Since May, when we last had this conversation, I feel that a lot has taken place in our life. One of them was an international trip that had to take place with the entire family. And the reason for that is we don't feel that our loved one would be in safe hands or in better hands with anyone other than her family. And so we basically ended up all taking this trip. It was only a couple of weeks long, but it was um, very important for the family to do this trip. It was things that we needed to address, but it affected our loved one tremendously. And this is what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about traveling with a loved one that could suffer a neurodegenerative disease, and in particular, something like dementia. I did write a post about it a couple of weeks ago, but I wanted to go into a little bit more detail since the trip has concluded and we are, in a matter of speaking, going back to life as normal or as it was before. So, a few things that I wanted to share here was the challenge that it was, um, not only for us as a family, but I believe for our loved one to be able to have a sense of normalcy in a land that she hasn't seen in a very long time, where she was basically a foreigner. So, for a regular person, I would say that going to a new land, to a new country, or a new town to visit is already very engaging. There's a lot to be seen, there's a lot of new experiences, at many times new customs, new people, new culture, new food, new flavors, to be uh, learning and experiencing as you are in this place. And for the most part, I would say that it can be enjoyable, although, of course, not every trip is a fun trip. There are some business trips, and there are places in the world that really aren't safe or that have a lot of chaos going on. So I'm talking about, I guess, if you were to go on vacation, if you were to try to compare this to a vacation, for the most part, I would think that you are finding places and experiences that are enjoyable. And so we found that with every doctor um, saying this is clearly something you need to do, there is no way to avoid it or around it, but I think you can have a nice time talking to our loved one. I think you're gonna be able to enjoy this, make the most out of it. And she did. For the most part, she did. But these are the elements that I think we need to discuss here as to what to keep in mind if you are in this similar situation. So, of course, addressing the elephant in the room is the first one, which is the memory, right? Um, the person's memory is challenged to the point where even the day off, the trip, why am I getting ready? Where are we going? Why are we going to this place? And going over and over and over again. Um, so that's never gonna go away. I think for a person with dementia and even a person with Parkinson's who also suffers from dementia related to the disease. The other thing that was interesting was the awareness. There was a heightened level of awareness in the moment, which only now I'm realizing. By this I mean at the airport. What are we doing? Where are we going? That level of awareness, like a person with good cognition would have, was sort of there. It wasn't 100%, but for someone with dementia, it was pretty spot on in our situation. She had an understanding of what we were doing at that particular moment, not minutes ahead or minutes behind, but as it was happening, she understood. Okay, we're checking in. We are getting the tickets. We are dropping off the suitcases, and the only moment that I saw her awareness or her cognition decline was while we were waiting for a wheelchair. While we were waiting being the key part. Why are we waiting? Well, we're waiting to get you into the wheelchair. Well, I don't need a wheelchair. Yes, you do. Because you get tired or because of this and that. And then some more moments she was completely agreeable with everything without really questioning or challenging anything. Um, Another aspect that has always remained the case with our loved one was her social skills were intact. She's always been friendly with people, kind with people. Um, Moving forward to when we arrived to our destination, um, exhausted, we were delayed, our flight was delayed. Her level of tiredness was high, but her level of cooperation and patience was strong. So I was personally surprised that she was able to remain for 2.5 hours extra on the plane while we were delayed for all the reasons that come with travel and weather, etc. The one thing we didn't think of the first night, and it was simply because checking in into a hotel at 3 a.m. in the morning is definitely a challenge, was the surrounding of the hotel, meaning night lights. Um, the hotel obviously doesn't have night lights unless you, I guess, ask the concierge. Some hotels sell it, some just can have it. But there's also a light that you can leave in a bathroom. And from what I understand, or the first night, our loved one was a bit confused as to where she was, and it was like, oh, where's everything? But my sibling was able to jump on it and, of course, mitigate the issue almost immediately. So that was something they continued to do the next few nights. So at the beginning, everything was good. I would say that the one and only anguish that remained with her from beginning to end, and it just got sincerely worse by the end, was the lack of our pet, who our pet was with, who was taking care of him, and how confident and she felt that he was getting the love and attention, not just food, um, but everything that he's used to having with the family while we're together. But I will add more to that later on. So we're in this place that we haven't been in many, many years, and um, she's recognizing by the map, not the the situation in the country as it is. The cities, the streets are not recognizable to her anymore. It's been too long. But traveling with the entire family, some of the people that were with us had never been here before. And so it was looking at it through the eyes of the tourist, even though in many aspects we ourselves were tourists. So it was interesting and new, and like I said at the beginning, it was fine because it was enticing new information for her brain. The forgetfulness did not get better. It was constant repetition of everything that we were seeing, where we were, what was that mountain, what was the name of that street, what was the name of that city. It was, it didn't get better. It didn't, it wasn't like when she was at the airport that at the moment of things happening, she was okay. I think it got bad after a moment goes by. It's almost like, again, going back to my last comment on one of my posts, like in 51st Dates and 10-second Tom, it almost resets and is like brand new information that she's never heard before. And even if you record it and even if you show it to her, it's something she's never heard before. And I don't always recommend that you do that, but that's for another time. Anyway, the foods, everything, it was gone from her mind. It actually was quite surprising to us because we thought these are childhood memories that she's definitely going to remember. Eating this thing or smelling that smell or going to these places are definitely going to trigger memories, and it didn't. It was almost the opposite. It was almost as if it was traumatic rather than enjoyable, even though the moments that we had there she enjoyed. Our stay was supposed to have lasted only 2 weeks. Some of us had to stay a few days extra due to holidays and stuff. Um, but it proved to be worse and worse for her the longer that we stayed. And the level of anxiety was starting to go up more than normal. And to make the story a little bit shorter than it is turning out to be, by the time we came back to the US, um, she knew that it was time for her to have come back, even though it would have been a little bit more beneficial in my case for her to have stayed behind with the rest of the family because it would have made my life a lot easier. Instead, I had to take on the full responsibilities of the full-time caregiver whilst taking care of 3 pets, not just one, but everyone had some sacrifice to pay. My husband too, he had to come back to work. So we all managed as best as we could, not to say that it was in any way easy. What I got out of this trip was that as best as we tried to make it enjoyable, none of those memories stuck with her, which is shocking. There is only one that she vaguely remembers, um, of visiting a place where I used to spend a lot of my time. Um, but even looking at photos, like for the most part, on a regular situation, she would look at a photo and go, "Oh, yeah, that's the place that we visited on all our vacations, on all our weekend getaways." She would be like, "Yeah, we went to that place, we went to that part in the Northeast, and yeah, we looked at the ocean and it was so beautiful." I have a sense of memory. Here, there wasn't. To the point that when we would talk about the trip, she would talk about what trip, even the day after. I think almost the same day. Like, what are you talking about? I haven't been there in years. Well, we just came from there. Where did we go? Yesterday. What do you mean? We just came back yesterday. And, this disease is the most, I think, in my mind. And of course, I'm only speaking from my own pain. So I would never want to say that it's worse than any other disease. I wouldn't dare, um, because I don't have that, um, excuse me, ability or knowledge in other diseases. But I can tell you that it really robs you of your loved ones. It robs you of their identity, of their memories, of who they are. Um, and it's very, very sad that she was robbed of her own upbringing, her own culture, her own memories. She doesn't recall the trip at all, at all. Weeks, days after, looking at pictures, looking at video footage, and you see for a moment when you ask her, there's like a little, not a spark, actually lack of spark, where her mind kind of catches on and realizes that she's forgotten something that she really should, and she changes the topic or finds a way um, to turn the conversation into something else. Um, so she'll ask my husband, "And did you like the trip? And what did you think of it?" Well, that's not really what she's thinking. At that moment, she's thinking, "How could I have forgotten this? This is not driving from here to New York City. This is an international trip that took several hours to get into, to be there by plane, hours to be at the airport, security, all these lines that I had to be on. How do I not remember any of it?" And I can see the anguish in her face, which is why immediately we change it into, "Who cares if you forgot? Yeah, we went, we had a nice time, we did this and that, and all these things that were pending, and etc., etc., and try to change it." But what was most painful for me was the incredible level of anxiety. It tripled. Her anxiety tripled to the point that it was unbearable, to the point that I thought, I'm gonna have a nervous breakdown and end up in a hospital myself, because the stress is so high and is nonstop, and it is pushing me to my own limits. Meanwhile, I'm keeping this only between my husband and myself, because I didn't want to overwhelm my sibling, who was still taking care of matters um, in our trip. And so her doctor, when we were speaking to him, was not surprised that this happened, and adjusted somewhat the medications. Um, after having been back for a couple of weeks, I feel that it is very, very, very slowly starting to get back to normal. But the anxiety is definitely increased since the trip. Um, and it has extended to worry about things that are unthinkable of being worried about, things that are just silly to be worried about. Um, and I think it exhausted me. I had a couple of breakdowns, as I would expect anyone to have under the circumstances. But I don't think that there's enough of a way that I can share or communicate how extreme the anxiety has been, and couple that with regular life, meaning day-to-day worries, uh, finance, job loss, whatever, and you have the perfect storm. I am honestly surprised that one of us didn't really get seriously ill because of the stress. So, all of this to say that there's a couple of things that I think I would do different or differently if we had to be in a similar situation where we need to take a trip and we all need to go. And that would be to actually pack strategically foldable, collapsible chairs where if you're having to wait in line for a while, you can sit and have some temporary relief, especially while you don't really have the need for a wheelchair yet. Um, so that's something that we planned months in advance, which was, I think, very, very smart acquisition for us to have made. But in hindsight, I think there's other things that we could have tried. Um, for example, our loved one loves coloring, um, and certain games. We could have done something with that. And if bringing a coloring book or coloring pencils would have been too much to add, then we could have bought some down there, and we didn't think of that. Um, I know I didn't. Another thing was games that you can play or puzzles. These things are things that calm the mind of the person. Now, please understand there is absolutely nothing that you will be able to do to 100% of the time avoid anxiety under the circumstances, unless you want to drug them to the point where they seem like they're zombies. There is nothing that you can do, in my experience, and at least with our loved one, there's absolutely nothing that you can do to avoid it. My game plan was how to mitigate that as much as possible. And so, looking back, with the information I now have available from my own experience, it would have been pack a puzzle, pack a game, uh, maybe some cards, like not poker, but like solitaire type of thing. Yes, we did bring her tablet. Yes, she had her phone and she had everything that we could think of at the moment. But when you're doing an international trip and you're traveling with someone with dementia, you already have your stress cut out for you. Um, I would say that's the major thing. There's only so much medication a person can take in a day for anxiety. Um, and if you are, we're not, but if you are in a situation where you can bring your pet with you, it's a good idea. In our case, there isn't. There was a lot of more complicated than it needs to be. But no, and have clear vision in your mind. And we knew this, so we were not surprised. We were expecting it. I think we handled it pretty well. I was just hoping it wouldn't become so incredibly stressful after the fact. Um, but try to know that your trip is most likely not going to be fun. There is no way that you can have someone with dementia and have it 100% go right. Because even if you had your whole family, your children, your grandchildren, your husband, your wife, your cat, your dog, your alpaca with you, it's not their surrounding. And so if you're in a situation where you have to make this trip, forgive yourself, because there is not going to be a 100% fail proof way of doing this, that it is drama or trauma free for anyone. And you need to come to terms with that. The second thing that I find worth highlighting, aside from the tips I gave you, or think I'm giving you, that could be worth trying, is to take care of your mental sanity, because it will get to the point where it is so stressful that you're gonna end up getting sick. I was sick from the day I arrived to this location and have not been not sick since then. And I believe that a great percentage of it was environmental, and a huge chunk of it was utter and sheer stress. If you are not well, you are not going to be helpful. As I am giving everything that I have on my vocal cords right now, and I know I don't sound very clear, I'm doing the best I can. I am doing it because I think it is worth repeating and sharing with you guys. You need to find time for yourself, even if it is minutes at a time during the day. Disassociate yourself and pull away from the situation in small little intervals as best as possible. If you are able to come in this trip with someone else, please do it, because there are times in which you're gonna need to have to explain why you need to go to the bathroom by yourself. And for people who are independent, my twinsies out there who are independent people and who don't like to give excuses or reasons or explanations or accountability for their day-to-day moment, it is going to be a living nightmare. So make sure that you find pockets of your day, of your night, and meditate a lot, exercise a lot. This was something that we did do while we were there. We exercised, we walked, not as we normally would, but we did, until I got so sick that I couldn't, and I think that affected the family as a whole. So, these are my perceptions of the trip. It is not the same as going away for a short period of time, even a week. 2 weeks was a lot, and it has proven to us that all the travel plans that we had of going to Europe and taking her along might not be achievable. We will assess that at a later time. But I say that because very Rarely is it worth flying 8 hours to Europe for just 5 days. It just isn't. You want to be there for a longer period of time. But at least that's something we no longer have to worry about for the time being. Um, Positives: family is stronger than ever. Family is able to understand the value that each of us bring. She is back to, or getting slowly back to, her normal level of anxiety, which is still pretty high. But alas, we are back home, back into her routine, and we'll get through this. I mean, there is no other option. You just gotta stay strong. Talk to your friends. Don't isolate. Breathe, meditate, have fun, find moments of laughter, and let go. Let go. Let go of the entire situation. Let go of the bad memories. Let go of the pain. Let go of the resentment towards the disease, because the disease is what it is, and the disease has your loved one. And it was funny because I thought about this the other day. I said to my sibling, the Alzheimer's does not affect her. The Alzheimer's affects us. She is not aware of it. And she's less with us than ever before. And we've done an incredible job at delaying this process. We have done an incredible job at keeping her healthy, ignited, engaged, more than a lot of people in her situation. When I say let go, I mean let go of the expectations and that hope that doesn't seem to go away. I'm not saying don't be hopeful. I mean the hope that she'll remember, the hope that she'll be able to have sound judgment, the hope that things will make sense in her brain, the hope that she'll always be with us. Let go of that expectation, because that sets you up for failure. But what I can definitely advise is that you embrace the moments of joy and stretch them out as much as you can. Embrace those moments of positivity. Embrace those moments of good memory. Glorify them. Applaud. Make it cute. Make it so that she feels proud of herself. Go for hikes in nature. Go for hikes in nature. Go for hikes in nature. I cannot say this enough. Exercise is imperative, but mostly exercise for you, for your soul, for your own peace of mind. You don't want to lose yourself and still take care of that person, because now who's helping who? So that's what I wanted to share with you folks today. I hope some of it is helpful. And in a way, I have to say, please forgive me. Forgive me for my humanity. Forgive me for my frustration, for my pain, for my negativity. This is a lot. But we got this, and I'm here for you guys. If you want to share your stories, I still welcome all of you to please support by sharing the show, the articles, support us by talking to us, by telling us about your experience. It's not all Alzheimer's related, unfortunately, is what hits home, but I've been eager to know more from you and hearing more about you. Um, and a special hello and thanks to my friends, new friends that I've made, who have their own stories with dementia and Alzheimer's, some of who I hope to be able to bring to you in the coming months. For now, thank you so much for listening and joining me, and I wish you a wonderful week ahead, and I hope that you're finding ways to enjoy a happy, nice summer with your loved ones. Take care for now.